Pitchers and catchers report next week, and today we're going to talk with Cardinals prospect Ian Bedell as he heads into the 2025 season and his first major league camp. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast itself at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube as well. Like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans of baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, so the Cardinals are making a commitment to the youth in the organization, allowing multiple veterans to walk through free agency to open up spots for younger prospects to get more opportunities in 2025. And one of those prospects is joining us here today, starting pitcher Ian Bedell. Coming to you. Ian, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm starting to get excited for the season. I'm sure you are too. We've got spring training starting in Jupiter, Florida next week, and the team has 26 non-roster invitees coming to camp, 9 of them taking part in their very first major league camp, and you just happen to be one of those.
Yes, sir.
So far, as you get revved up for what's going to be your first camp, who have you talked to, if anyone, about advice and what to expect as you go to your first major league camp?
I mean, I've played with a lot of guys that have been invited for non-roster invites for last year, and it's a little different. Everybody always says, like, just kind of hang back, listen, learn, rather than trying to be extremely outspoken up front. But I'm really excited and ready to learn.
When you made the jump from AA to AAA this past year, what were some of the biggest differences? Because, obviously you're talking about there's some differences between, the minor league camp and spring training, and of course, what it's going to be a major league camp. What were some of the biggest differences between the two levels of AA to AAA that made things more challenging for you last year?
The ABS zone is a lot different. There's no top of the strike zone, which was really weird. I pitched in low A on a rehab assignment for like 2 or 3 weeks back in 22. And that's the only time I've ever seen the automated zone.
Mm-hmm.
So running into the automated zone was a little different. Approach wise, the hitters are definitely a little better east and west. They know the sides of the plate really well. I was throwing a lot of stuff, a ball off, and they just weren't swinging at it. And it took a while to make those adjustments and learn to pitch through the zone, which sounds stupid because that's what everybody's trying to do. But when you move up a level, subconsciously you're like, all right, I have to be this much better, when in reality it's the exact same game. You just have to do exactly what you're doing and perform.
I'm glad you brought up the strike zone. That was something I wanted to ask you. Was that the biggest difference? You said there's no real top to the zone. Explain that a little bit for maybe some novice people who just kind of watch the game and check it out. But what do you mean by no top of the zone when it comes to the automated system?
So I felt like I threw a lot of fastballs that were belt high, and they were called balls. And I'm sitting there on that. I'm like, how is that a ball? It looks perfect to me. And then you go back in, we have the iPad that shows you the strike zone, and you can go back and look at any of the at-bats throughout the game. Sure enough, the ball's up. I'm like, wow, that is crazy. And there will be times where a hitter will challenge something, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely the strike. Ball. I'm like, okay, all right, 3-2 instead of strikeout. And then there'll be times they'll challenge it, and I'm like, all right, that was probably 3 to 5 inches off, and it somehow clips the zone. So I visually, everything looks good to me, but it's different seeing it on the iPad in the strike zone, and how good the umpires actually are with the zones.
Did other of your teammates and coaches kind of have the same issues adjusting to it, where they were like, that looked pretty darn good, and then be like, yeah, I guess it was off?
Yeah, I know that there's a few guys that said when you get there, just don't be surprised that there's every team has it a little different. The Orioles challenged kind of whenever, and we had a philosophy of on or out. So basically, trying to save the challenges for late in the game, unless you were just 100% confident that you had the pitch. Uh, so just let it go, essentially. But the zone it's very, very weird.
I can only imagine what some of the veteran guys are going to think when they have to try that out for the first time. Guys that have been, in their 30s and stuff now, when they try to adjust to something like that, if it's ever implemented at that level, that's going to be interesting. What are some of the things that you wanted to work on this off season to help improve your stock going in to spring training this year? Last year, you were a top 20 prospect in the organization. What were some things that you wanted to improve on to push you up a few spots this year?
Well, realistically, I need my average velocity to be just a tick or two higher. I think I was hovering around like the mid 92 range, whatever decimal point that is. I need to be closer to that 94 range, ideally. But the biggest goal of the offseason was to improve the slider. Uh, Once I got the big league ball in my hand from that jump from double A to triple A, which sounds weird. You're playing in pro ball. You should all have the same baseball, but there's a minor league and a big league ball. And the big league ball is a little different seam wise. And trying to throw sliders with that, it just kept popping out of my hand and going high and arm side. So really trying to work on that, and then also trying to pick up the velocity on it. When I was throwing it around 84, it was really good, and at 81, it was not getting the same level of swing and miss. So that was a big goal of the offseason, and then also to refine the changeup. At times, it's been really good, and then at times, it's been really hit or miss. And so far, in the last couple of weeks, the changeups felt really good, and I'm happy with where it's at.
When you try to improve velocity, because that's something a lot of fans are going to notice that they're always looking at the radar gun like, oh,
Mhm.
there's that and there's that. What are some things that you can do or have tried to do to help improve velocity by a tick or two miles per hour wise?
So the biggest thing that we've looked at is lower body efficiencies with my hips and shoulders. Like you always hear like hip shoulder separation and
Mhm.
trying to improve on that. And I am not the best at that. So that was the goal of this season, was trying to get the hips more square to the target at foot strike. So whenever the front foot hits, trying to have your hips pointed more to the plate. That was the goal. And I was using this contraption, I guess you can call it, core velocity belt. It's a strap that goes around your hips and around like your upper thigh, and then you can have a band, and you can pull the band to shift your hips and try to feel the variations in that plane.
All right. See, this is interesting. This is stuff that none of us see because everybody thinks like, oh, he's probably going to just, put on some weight. He's going to weight lift a little
Well,
bit.
I
And then,
did put on some weight too. Hopefully that'll help. But that's the behind the scenes stuff of
yeah.
the training aspect's way more important.
All right. Very nice. All right. Well, we're going to dive into some of the improvements because I want to get your thoughts on how the Cardinals as an organization are making some differences and some changes at the minor league levels and get your input on that. So we'll have more with Ian Bedell here in just a moment on Locked On Cardinals. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, which is the best place for daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded. PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. And here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least two-player projections, and if you're right, you could win up to 100x your cash. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game. Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard, one passing yard to get you a win. Pair that with one more correct pick and you're cashing out, whether you want to go with Xavier Worthy, who's a guy that I'm really liking in this game, or if you want to go on the Eagles side of things, Saquon Barkley, obviously a safe bet, probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year this year. He's got 0.5 for rushing, receiving touchdowns. I'm guessing he's going to get one. Check out the promos tab to tail any of these super sweet Millie winners big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today. Use that code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 bet. That's code Locked on MLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you again for making Locked on Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. We've got Cardinals prospect Ian Bedell joining us here today, giving us some insight into what it really takes to be a professional pitcher. Some good stuff there in segment one. The Cardinals organization is making it a point to improve things at the minor league level to help prospects like Ian get the most out of what they're learning and how they're going to become and prosper as a prospect so that they can find some more success, not only within the organization, but hopefully at the major league level at some point. What improvements, Ian, have you heard about that you're excited to see and be a part of? Because, there's been word that the Cardinals have, had fallen behind in certain things. What are some things maybe that you've heard about that you're like, oh, that's cool. We're going to get to be a part of that now.
Well, we have made a lot of what I believe are really good hires. So I have been at, I guess we're calling it a winter camp, even though it's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, before spring training.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to meet the new assistant pitching coordinator, some new pitching coaches at the lower levels, and everybody's been extremely helpful. The assistant pitching coordinator, Austin Miney, helped me with the changeup, and over the last 2 weeks, it's been really good. Last week, or I guess 2 days ago, the low A pitching coach was helping me with the slider and got that dialed in. So everything's been great so far. We've hired some really good people.
Which is great. That's the one thing, the fans will say, wow, we haven't done anything at the major league level. And we kind of knew that going into the season that the major league roster wasn't going to change all that much. But the important thing was this reset that we've been talking about. More has to do with what's going on in the minor leagues and stuff to get more, coordinators and assistants and stuff to help everybody get better. That way that when they do finally break out, they're doing it for the Cardinals and not getting shipped to other organizations and prospering in those spots. What was your reaction as a player in the minor leagues when you heard about this new direction of the organization, leaning more on prospects going into this season instead of relying on as many veterans and really opening up more opportunities for prospects like yourself? What was the reaction that you had when you heard about this?
It's a great time to be a Cardinal. I mean, every guy in the minor league wants a shot. That's the biggest goal. And hearing that the organization is going to move in the direction of, all right, we want our homegrown talent to perform. We're going to give them the chance. I mean, that's all you can ask for. Being at AAA already, you're one step away. You're truly one step away now. It's that close. And I grew up a Cardinal fan. I'm happy to be here. I want to be here. So hearing that it's going to be the young guy's chance, I'm excited.
The game has changed significantly over the last decade with a bigger emphasis on things like analytics. Can you pull back the curtain? I know you did it a little bit in that segment one already, and take us through what a routine is, because people always want to know, like, what's the mindset of a pitcher going into a start each time? Are they sitting around playing cards like they see in the movies or whatnot? What is something that you do for your routine on a day that you're set to make a start, as far as like meetings and video and analytic stuff? What are some of the ways that you prepare the day of a start?
So on Tuesdays, at every level that I've been at, we have a video breakdown of hitters of the lineup for that day mostly. And you go over the main guys in the lineup who you think are the threats, the base stealers, all of that. And then on your start day, you go back over more of the data and how you want to approach it, not so much the film aspect. You could do that if you wanted. I have occasionally gone back into our database and looked at film on some guys, but more so you just try to think of your approach on how you want to go about it. So I'd say about 2 hours before first pitch or so, we're having a meeting between the catchers and the pitching coach. And I guess if any of the starters have anything that they want to say, that would be the time. But most of the time, it's just starting pitcher, catcher, and pitching coach going over the plan of how you want to attack hitters, what you want to do in certain situations, all of that. and then about an hour and a half before first pitch, really start warming up, foam roll, bands, anything for body prep for that, and then out on the field about 30 minutes before first pitch.
Do you have any, just for yourself, any certain superstitions that you like to do before you make a start, or you just pretty much whatever?
Uh, Pretty much whatever. I'll change the prep up. It normally stays pretty similar, but it doesn't have to be the exact same exercises every single time. I will say that the Red Bull gets cracked either about an hour 45 before first pitch. No matter what, I will look at a clock for that, which sounds stupid, but I'll always listen to Humble and Kind before going out on the field. And then out on the field, everything is down to the minute of when stretch will start, when catch will start, when I get on the mound, when I get off the mound, all of that. I'll be looking on the clock. You can see me down the left field line, staring at the clock, waiting for exactly 30 minutes before first pitch.
So very meticulous about
Yeah,
how you want things to go before you hit that rubber for the first time in the game.
yeah. I'll switch it up for like what's contained in that time frame, but that set block is that set block.
All right, gotcha. I've got some other questions for you. Some more fun stuff about former hitters and current pitches and whatnot. We're gonna get more into that stuff with Cardinals prospect Ian Bedell coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Now, I love going to live events. I'm sure you're the same. And going to a playoff game, that's like next level type of fun that, it brings the fans together. We always have a good time, well, unless our team's losing. But normally it's just it's an all around really cool experience, whether it is a Major League Baseball game, whether it's the NFL, the NHL, NBA. How many of you guys have been to a Cardinals playoff game or a Blues playoff game at some point? Or, when the Rams were in St. Louis, got to go to one of the greatest show on turf playoff games, which were insane. Maybe you're in Kansas City right now and you're just used to this whole thing happening constantly. And when you need tickets to any event, whether it's a playoff game or not, you got to use that Gametime app because it is the easiest way to find the seats that you want. Gametime's got a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for events even that much easier. It's going to filter out all the fluff and stuff where you just see those incredible deals on the seats that you're interested in. It's going to just get rid of all the stuff that you're not interested. You don't want to sit in section 400. We know that. It's going to get rid of stuff like that. That way you're not searching through all of the tickets to get to where you want to be. The Blues are obviously in the midst of a homestand right now, so you've got your chance to go and get tickets tonight. Defending champion Panthers are in town. Tickets are as low as $14 right now on the Gametime app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account. Use that code LOCKEDONMLB. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, I encourage you to go find Locked On MLB. Our baseball guru, Sully, gives you the daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on all the teams this offseason as we head into training camp. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We're talking with Cardinals prospect Ian Bedell, who is going to be making his first appearance at the Major League camp down in Jupiter, Florida. So very nice of him to join us here today. I want to ask you some fun questions, some things we got from some of the fans here. If you could face one current and one former hitter, who would you love to face and compete against?
Former hitter's easy. Favorite player growing up was Colby Rasmus.
Colby, how about that?
Colby
There we go.
Rasmus. Yeah. So the Cardinals were my affiliate spot growing up as a little kid in the Quad Cities, and then it became the Astros back when they were really bad and they had Carlos Correa and Bregman and everybody coming up through. But
Yeah.
for some reason, little 4-year-old Ian took to Colby Rasmus, and that was my favorite player growing up. Currently, Mike Trout. How do you not want to face the best hitter? Absolutely.
Yeah, we need Trout to get healthy. Like,
We
I just
do.
want to
The
see
game
him
needs
back.
it.
Yeah, I just want to see him back on the field again. I mean, I feels like some of this generation, they're missing out on him because we got to see it's been like 3 or 4 years since
I
he's
know the game
been the
needs him.
since we've seen the real Mike Trout, and it's been lacking for sure. I mean, we know the Angels could use him, that's for sure. But yeah, Colby Rasmus, who ended up being a huge piece of the Cardinals winning their last championship because he was a part of the trade that went
Yeah.
down that brought them a ton of pieces over from Toronto. So a big piece of Cardinals history in Colby Rasmus. One current pitch in the game that you currently don't throw that you wish you could add to your repertoire. An example would be like Devin Williams and throwing his airbender pitch. What's something you wish you had the capability of pulling off?
Tanner Houck's splitter.
Wow. There you go.
So big Mizzou guy, obviously.
Yes.
But I've played catch with him in the off seasons before down here at Cressy's, and his slider is gross. It's hit me in the knee before because I whiffed. But his splitter, like you think you're gonna catch it, then all of a sudden it's on your shoe top and it's just gone. That thing is gross. I would love to have that.
So what is it about it that, I mean, I'm sure you've been like, show me how you throw. Is it just because his fingers are humongous or something? What's his?
I
What's
mean,
his
he's
trick?
throwing from completes the side, and this thing just looks like it's going dead straight, and then at the last second, it just drops.
Sick. And they want,
You never see it coming.
like
And it's just gone.
because we take it, we take it for granted. Like we're like, oh my gosh, how are these guys not hitting these pitches? They can't see. It's not even close to the pitch. Nobody realizes those things dip like boop right before it hits the plate.
You don't know what's happening. The last 10 feet, it's dropped.
In your opinion, what's more important? You can either say this for yourself or just for pitchers in general: velocity or movement? Because again, everybody gets so impressed of 101, 102 when movement is as important to me as anything. What do you think?
My mom always gives my dad two options, A or B, and he always chooses C. So I'm going with C, and I'm going with location. Location's the
Okay.
most important thing. But if you made me pick, I'd say velocity. You can get away more with velocity than sheer movement, I believe, just because of the timing aspect. But location above all is the biggest effect.
Location. And now, is
Yeah.
that something that coaches and stuff in the organization preach to you guys, or is that just one of your own personal philosophies as a
I mean,
pitcher?
that's definitely part of it, but that's definitely my philosophy. Is my dad was always big on location over velocity, and that was the way that I learned. I didn't do that growing up. I just wanted to throw the ball as hard as possible.
Yeah.
But about high school time, I started to give it a little bit more appreciation for what location can do versus just sheer movement or velocity.
Now, you mentioned that Colby Rasmus was your favorite player growing up. Is there a certain pitcher that you patted yourself at during your time, either at Mizzou or just as a little kid? Is there anybody else that you particularly loved watching the pitch?
I loved watching Corey Kluber back when he was at what mid 2010s. I was in high school, and he was as dominant as ever, and it was awesome. His slider and the slur that he threw, he blew lineups up. It was awesome.
Yeah, watching him in Cleveland over those years, and then unfortunately the injury bug started to catch up with him a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was disgusting. Not that I've ever faced anybody like that, but if you ever play MLB The Show, he's always like one of the best cards in the game. Like trying to hit him is like
Yeah.
nonsense.
Even there, I had no shot.
Yeah. What is a favorite activity of yours outside of playing baseball? Most people will go to golf, but is there something else that you like to do in your free time that just kind of get your mind away from the game itself?
Golf. Boring pitcher answer, but golf. I should be
Now,
way better
normally,
than what I am. But
let me ask you this. Okay, when you're at the different levels you play at and you get a chance to play with the guys, how do you rate among some of the other pitchers? Are you usually one of the better golfers in the foursome, or do you struggle?
well, about 2 years ago, I would have said I was one of the better ones. I've gotten worse. I don't know how, but I'd say probably middle of the pack.
All right, final question for you. This weekend, Super Bowl. We got Eagles, we got Chiefs. You're an Iowa guy. You're from Mizzou. Are we rolling with the Chiefs, or you thinking Philadelphia pulls off what I would deem the upset?
Well, I am a Packers fan, but you don't
My
bet.
man, hold up. I got to show you something. Hold up.
Good. Cheesehead.
Got the cheese head. I've got the
The
ownership.
ownership. Yep.
certificate.
My dad's got the same thing in the basement.
I am legit huge Packers fan as well. I figured as much from Iowa that you might like Green Bay, but
I'm rolling with the Chiefs. You don't bet against Mahomes.
yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I don't understand how everybody is like, well, they're gotta fall this time, but I don't know.
No.
History in the making. Kelsey, Taylor Swift, they got everybody on their side. I'm thinking Kansas City in this one as well. All right, Ian, I appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck headed down into spring training, and hopefully some point this year, not only do you have success in Memphis, but we hope to see you in the show at Busch Stadium at some point. I wish you the best of luck this year, buddy.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. And we will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.